Hey, Denise, we're gonna give it until maybe 2 minutes after.
Yes, we can.
Denise, we confirmed that we don't have any AI scribes or anything like that. I think we saw something last time.
I don't think we can confirm that at this point.
Okay. Thanks. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Happy fourth quarter, as I like to say. Welcome to the solar and DER update webinar. Thank you all for your time, taking time out to hear what we have going on and how we expect to impact ongoing business operations across the PHI footprint. I think as the team goes through this particular deck, you'll get some insight into what we're doing in the affordability space to make projects a bit more affordable. Obviously, we have an order in Maryland that we're working through, but we are having ideation sessions as it pertains to the other states that we operate in as well. We're also going to talk a little bit about project billing and invoice updates and things that we're doing to improve that process and the impact that it has on timelines. And then in general process timeline updates, and then we'll round things out with some engineering and some announcements. With that being said, I'll turn things over to, I'm not sure who's up first. I think maybe it's Sean and the MK. Thanks.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Sean Cook. I'm a Senior Business Program Manager on our Green Power Connection team. Today, I'll be talking about Maryland Cost Allocation Methodology, or MCAM. The purpose of this session is to give an introduction into MCAM and provide a high-level overview. We'll be doing another session prior to the MCAM effective date that will dive a little deeper, give more specifics into MCAM. So I wanted to start off by giving a little background on MCAM, how we've gotten here, and why it's being implemented. So PSC PC44 Interconnection Work Group published their Phase 5 report in September of 2023, which included recommendations to the Commission on a cost-sharing methodology. The Commission approved MCAM regulations in January of 2024, and Maryland PSC adoption of RM81 was finalized on December 12th of 2024. Currently, development of MCAM is in progress with a tariff filing due date of December 12th of 2025. The actual effective date of MCAM is still to be determined. You can go to the next slide. So MCAM is broken up into primary and secondary MCAM. Primary MCAM, or PCAM, is cost sharing for hosting capacity upgrades to primary voltage, and secondary MCAM, or SCAM, is cost sharing for hosting capacity upgrades to secondary voltage. For PCAM implementation, utilities will establish a $1 per kilowatt fee based on existing hosting capacity. If an interconnecting customer triggers an upgrade, they would pay their pro rata share per feeder. We will also add in administrative fee, and that total amount will be what the developer pays. These fees also reset annually. For SCAM implementation, utilities will establish a $1 per application fee for residential customers, while small commercial customers will pay per kilowatt. We will add in the administrative fee, and then that gives us the total amount, and the fees are reset annually. Go to the next slide. So I want to give a couple examples of how PCAM and SCAM could work, but I want to preface these examples by saying that we're still working through our methodology and these examples of how PCAM and SCAM could potentially work and not necessarily how it's going to be exactly. We'll get more into the specifics in the next session, but these are just high-level examples to provide context. So projects going through PCAM will be seen as first movers, subsequent movers, or a hybrid between the two. The example for first movers is that a customer is installing a 5 megawatt system. Hosting capacity upgrade project is needed and 10 megawatts of hosting capacity is added. The customer would be responsible for their pro rata or percentage share of that project at 50%. For subsequent movers, the example is that the customer is installing a 3 megawatt system, but there is 5 megawatts available on the circuit, so no hosting capacity upgrade project is needed. Because no upgrade project is needed, the customer would be responsible for paying the established dollar per kilowatt fee. For hybrid movers, the customer is installing a 5 megawatt system. There is 3 megawatts existing on the circuit, and 3 more megawatts of hosting capacity is added in satisfaction of the customer's 2 megawatt incremental increase. So the customer would be responsible for a dollar per kilowatt fee for the first 3 megawatts, and then 67% or 2 out of the 3 megawatts that are being added as part of the hosting capacity project. Go to the next slide. So secondary MCAM, again, residential customers will be paying a set dollar per application fee, and small commercial customers will pay a dollar per kilowatt amount. The dollar per app fee set for residential customers is established by forecasting out the amount of applications for the next year and taking historical costs from the previous year and then dividing costs by application. We add in the administrative fee for the total costs, and these fees reset annually. For SCAM, for small commercial customers, we would take historical capacity from the previous year divided by costs from the previous year to establish the dollar per kilowatt amount. Add in the admin fee, and again, all this resets annually. We can go to the next slide. Thanks. So we talked about how MCAM could work. We also want to highlight some potential customer benefits of MCAM. So it could make solar more accessible by potentially reducing upfront costs and removing the model where the developer who triggers a hosting capacity upgrade pays for 100% of the hosting capacity upgrade project. MCAM also facilitates efficient utilization of existing available hosting capacity, and it enables call sharing for necessary grid updates to help optimize the grid. So we are working on billing upgrades to connect the grid that will help with administering MCAM and will improve the overall customer experience in CTG. Included in those upgrades will be streamlined application management, so submit and process applications efficiently through our digital portal, automated billing of all solar services, so all the app fees, study fees, et cetera, will be automated. Near real-time payment processing, developers will have the ability to make payments in CTG that are processed near real-time. E-signature integration enable secure digital signatures to streamline authorization and reduce processing delays. Payment review functionality, record and review application-related payments with accuracy and accountability. Automated communications, timely automated notifications and updates for customers. We're still building these improvements out, but we will provide more information on these changes before this rolls out. So lastly, this is kind of our next steps and resources, and it's basically our developer training and resources plan. Our plan to get information and awareness out to developers includes developer training, creating web page content, and then outreach campaigns. So for developer training, we wanted to give a high-level overview today of MCAM and what changes are coming. We're also planning another session before the MCAM effective date to provide more information and a deeper dive. So more to come on that. We're also going to create web page content. So there will be pages available on our website that help inform and assist developers on forthcoming system and program changes. And we are also planning outreach campaigns through our marketing communications teams to spread awareness and get our support materials out to as many people as possible. In terms of next steps, the tariff filing is December 12th. The MCAM effective date is still to be determined. We're still working on some decisions on how the finer points of MCAM are going to work on our end. But as we went over in the slide, we'll be providing support as the changes take hold and aim to make this transition as seamless as possible. Thanks.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. Ryan Test, Manager of Interconnection, overseeing project management. Next slide, Delaney, please. So what I'd like to do is update the group on some of the recent enhancements we've done from a building perspective. We've received your feedback over the last few seminars, and we've seen the data, and it's pretty clear that the invoice process, at least on our end, it had plenty of room for improvement, right? There were some inefficiencies that we've identified, and since then, we're now improving our cost letter or facility study process to have the invoice attached to it, so that when a developer decides to move forward with the cost letter, there's no longer that 1 to 6 week delay where we're now waiting for our billing and our plan accounting teams to develop the invoice. Instead, we'll be attaching the invoice to the cost letter on the facility study, and based on whatever the scoping meeting determinations are, we will then have a predefined amount that we can then bill you immediately. And then there's going to be some back office work where we assign the form of payment, whether it's a wire or a form of check, and be able to attach that while we're also running down in parallel some of the design and next steps so that we can enter into project execution. So going down the list of some of the bullet points that are here, moving forward, the cost letters of facility studies will now include an additional page with an invoice and directions on where to pay. We ask that the payment that is made must reference the CTG application ID or the business partner ID. Now, this is critical so that we're able to essentially match the payment that's being made to the invoice, and then our project management team can move forward with creating service requests and work orders so that we can tie everything together while also chasing down the engineering that needs to be done for the design section of the project. Invoices will reflect the total value of the upgrade costs unless a previously determined amount has been identified. So in some cases, some developers request that we have a payment plan of 50% down payment upfront and then the remaining 50% at a later time. Whatever that predetermined amount is, we'll communicate with the developer and come to an agreement, and then that'll be the initial invoice that's going to be sent out as part of the cost letter. And then finally, project construction commences only after projects are paid in full, even if partial payment is made. Now, this is critical because the first, I'll say, 25 to 50% of the application may only be charges for, I'll say, engineering and to procure some of the material that's long lead time. But obviously, before we can actually put shovels in the ground and do some of the physical construction, full payment is still required. I guess that's it. I hand it off to the next speaker to talk about the processing timelines and updates.
Good afternoon. I'll take the first slide in this section. Thank you. So I'm going to walk through some key external dates that are related to the interconnection application processing and timelines. These are key dates related to the One Big Beautiful Bill. Those systems must be installed for residential customers by 12/31/2025. Construction must begin before July 4th, 2026 for commercial projects to qualify for the investment tax credit as well as the production tax credit. And for commercial projects that begin construction on or after July 4th, 2026, they must be placed into service by December 31st, 2027.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Tanya Johnson. I am manager of the interconnections for the East and Delmarva regions. To align with the requirements of the Big Beautiful Bill, the PHI team has taken proactive steps to improve with efficiency and accuracy with our solar processing, our application processing. I would like to highlight today some notable changes that we've implemented that's had a positive impact on our application process. Our goal is just to ensure that every application moves through the process seamlessly and within regulatory timelines. To support this, we are analyzing our current application volumes, identifying trends, and reallocating resources where they're needed the most. And we remain committed to keeping our queues moving to meet or exceed our regulatory timelines. This year, we've implemented several key changes that have had a positive impact on our processing times, adopting a dynamic approach to resource allocation through cross-training and prioritizing jurisdictions based on volume. This gives us a greater flexibility to provide coverage where it's needed most and helps ensure consistency in how applications are reviewed. Next, integrated solar organization to streamline internal handoffs, thus decreasing complexity per phase. This alignment minimizes delays and supports a smoother process from start to finish. And we've started automating portions of our review process that involve the same steps for every application. As you know, automation frees up valuable time for our teams and helps improve accuracy and overall processing speed. All of the changes will help us to move the applications through the process faster with fewer issues. Next slide. A key area of focus is our Part 2 submission piece of the application process, which plays a critical role in moving projects towards PTO or ATO. The regulatory timeline for processing Part 2 applications is notably within 20 business days. However, our team is actively working to complete reviews within that time frame or ahead of schedule to help projects move forward to PTO or ATO quicker. As mentioned in the previous slide, to achieve this goal, we are reallocating resources in real time to improve efficiency, and our goal is to help your applications move through the review process as quickly as possible. And we wanted to share a few reoccurring errors that we've noticed in Part 2 submission that can result in the application being marked incomplete and sent back for corrections, which may cause a delay in the review process. So some of the common errors that our teams are seeing are missing or unsigned customer signatures. Customer signatures don't match Part 1. Missing documents such as the as-built and electrical inspection certificate. Misspelled names. There's been incorrect addresses, account numbers, and meter numbers. And by making sure the information is complete and accurate at submission, we're able to process the applications much faster and without delay and help getting the applications to the next step a lot quicker. Next slide. We do need your help for information. We shared this in the last webinar, and we did start a few months ago, started outreach to update the facility contact information for all small generation projects. Some of you may remember receiving that email, and if you thought it was maybe spam at first, the goal behind that effort is all about safety and reliability. The PHI Operations Control Center needs to have accurate contact information for all small generation facility connected to our grid. This ensures we can reach someone on site quickly in cases of emergency. And we've noticed that once the projects are placed in service, those contact details sometimes become outdated or have been missing, which makes it harder for us to connect to the correct person. Since starting the outreach, we've already been able to update many of the projects, but we're still missing a few. So first, I want to say thank you to those who have already responded, and we really appreciate your partnership. For those who haven't, please be on the lookout for an email with the link to the Microsoft form to enter your information for existing in-service, in-process projects greater than or equal to 250 kilowatts. Fill out the emailed form, and PHI will then add the data to the specific project in the CTG portal. And then moving forward, for new submitted projects, developers will need to add the customer designated emergency contact information directly to the CTG portal as an additional contact. And then finally, thank you for keeping this information up to date. It's a small step, but will make a big difference. And I will turn it over to the next person.
Ranjit, you are up. We
Talking on
can't.
mute, wasn't I?
Yeah, you were. Thank you.
Thanks, Denise. Yeah, I will introduce myself again. So my name is Ranjit Saki, Senior Manager of our Engineering Project Management arm of this organization, focused on DER interconnections. And I've got a couple slides to talk you all through about some things that are happening in those spaces. So in the summer, we did roll out some automation that was focused on residential applications primarily, and processing the technical reviews for them, and essentially screening out interconnection projects that do not require an upgrade, and kind of getting them through the tech review through ATI faster. So we're continuing to monitor that performance. Hopefully, some of you all are experiencing some faster turnaround times in that space, and we're continuing to kind of monitor that and look for opportunities to expand that to some additional applications. From a staffing perspective, I think in our last webinar we shared about how we stood up this organization to focus on DER. Since June, we've been staffing up that organization, my organization, with engineers, project managers, other support roles. And we've grown quite a bit since then, and we will continue that. And we've been working through onboarding, training, and some additional staffing. We'll continue through the end of the year to hopefully further aid in some of the processing timelines and some of the touch points that you all have with our teams. Another big thing that we're working through is a transition on a technology side. If anyone's familiar with load flow modeling, the tool we've been using over the several years, is now transitioning to a tool called SIMDIST, which many consider as the industry standard for load flow modeling. So our new engineers are being onboarded to use SIM, are using it today, and we're continuing to gain proficiency and get more and more practice. And it also helps us to expand our resources with more and more vendors across the industry that are using kind of the tried and true tools to be able to do some of the interconnection studies. So those are some things that we've been working on over the past few months. We'll go to the next slide, where I'll talk about some Q&A. We did take a look at a lot of the questions we received and looked for some common themes. So not every question is here verbatim. I kind of grouped the ones that I thought were relevant for this discussion into these four. So I'll go through them.
Hey, Reggie, sorry to interrupt you. I'm not sure if it's just on my end, but could you just speak up a little bit louder, please?
Oh, I apologize. You guys hear me any better now?
Yeah, that's better. Thank you.
All right. Okay, so first question was around resubmission of applications and why changes to applications require resubmission. And we got this question in a kind of variety of forms, a variety of reasons why folks have had to resubmit their applications. So I guess in response to that theme, changes to equipment specs and approved manufacturer information does require review by our teams. We are, however, exploring some enhancements that for some of these to be able to be editable at the application level and not require resubmission. So hopefully in the near term, we can come up with some solutions in that space. So some instances will no longer require resubmission. However, there are some that will, but we are looking to gain some flexibility in this space, and we're actively working toward that. The next question was around non-export generation in areas that are saturated with solar as a possible way to mitigate expensive upgrade costs. Response to that is that non-export has been an option for customers and is not something that would be new for us to consider. So resubmitting an application with a changed intent of generation to some non-export options like offsetting load, partial load, or backup generation may in fact, in some cases, mitigate the need for upgrades. So that is an option that customers do have. In some instances, however, like some of the upgrades won't go away because some upgrades are driven by the need, by the virtue of generation being connected to the grid and not of how much they export into the grid. Because, for example, some of our fault conditions are modeled based on how much generation can contribute to a fault instance on the grid. So whether a generator is exporting or not, their contribution would be the same. So that's just one example. But in some other cases, there are some upgrades that may be mitigated by some of those non-export options. Another question that I saw in a couple of versions was around battery interconnections and if they require applications. And some of the questions asked if there's batteries in conjunction with solar, if they require applications. And the answer to that is yes. Battery interconnections do require applications, even if the customer has solar. If the customer wants to install both at the same time, that can be one application for solar plus battery. But if there's an application that's already in process or completed that did not include a battery, if a customer does want to install one, that does require an application if they want an interconnection. And the last one was around downsizing options and derating inverters enabled to accomplish downsize options. One of the questions asked if a downsize option was of a capacity that standard inverter was not produced in, if getting the manufacturer to derate that inverter down to the downsize capacity would be acceptable. And the short answer is yes. There's some language around it actually on our websites in the interconnection requirements that we'd be happy to provide separately, but it is all available on all the utility websites as well. There's more details on what the process for that would be and what the literature from the manufacturer would need to include. But short answer is yes. So those two slides were all I wanted to cover with you all. Happy to be here and look forward to speaking with you all in the next few sessions. I'll hand it back to you, Denise.
Thank you, Ranjit. We're going to just go through one additional update. Go ahead. Just wanted to let everyone know that we are sending out our annual developer feedback survey. And this is an opportunity to provide us with feedback. And certainly we have some further opportunities to improve. There may be some ways that we have made changes that have a different impact. So if you have any suggestions, we do appreciate hearing from you. This survey will go out through email and should only take a few minutes of your time to respond to. There's a mix of ratings questions as well as open-ended questions, but I don't expect it to take any more than 7 minutes to complete, and we really do appreciate your feedback. We'll be addressing some of the questions or comments on our Q1 solar update webinar. So please take the time to give us a response. We expect to have it out in the next couple weeks. And just to close out with our contact information, and then I will move it back over to Larry for a few comments to close us out?
Yeah, thank you, Denise, and thank you to the team for presenting this information. Hopefully, everyone on the call found the information to be valuable. We do receive questions or solicit questions in advance of the webinar, and we either weave the responses to those questions throughout the presentation, or we tackle them head on when it's appropriate, as you saw arrange it to in the technical review slides. What you're looking at here on the screen is a contact information for my team, and any questions that you might have post webinar, please direct them to the communication email addresses that you see on the screen here. Um, it's October, we're almost heading towards 10 months of 2025. And I just want to personally thank, everyone for the partnership as we continue to work through the net energy metering program, community solar program, and looks like battery storage and things like that are on the horizon across the footprint. Hopefully, folks are experiencing many of the improvements that we've made throughout 2025. We realize that we're still on that journey to meet expectations, and we will continue to plow forward to that end. I think this is the last slide. I believe I am closing out the webinar. And again, if you have any follow-up questions, please address those to the email boxes that you see on the screen from a contact perspective. And with that, I'll end this is the end of the webinar. And thank you all again for your time.